right, good morning, you guys. Trisha Turner here. It is Rise and Thrive. What is Rise and Thrive? Well, this is a podcast. This is actually my third one. I had Walk Away Wealthy. I had Anything But Average, and both of those ran about 3 years. And then I took about a 6-month hiatus because I wanted to get crystal clear on relaunching it and what did I want it to be about. And I decided on Rise and Thrive. And what is Rise and Thrive? It is a way for you to rise up and help others, like bring people up, level up, share what you're doing to bring success and awareness so you can help others reach their level of success. And the 4 principles that we're going to be talking about in Rise and Thrive is faith, family, finances, and fitness. Those are the things that are most important to me in my life. So I'm like, you know what? I know a ton of people involved in all of those. So I'm going to bring it to you guys every Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock Central. So today I'm super excited to bring Nikki on because she, if you don't know her, number one, you need to, but she has been just evolving into what I believe is building your life on purpose and actually doing things that feed your soul every day. And when if you see her and follow her on social media, you can see she's just like glowing. She's sharing her story and she's inspiring others. So Nikki, thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much for that introduction.
Yes. Now, for those people that do not know you, I would love for you, number one, to tell everybody what you do for a living, where you are in the world, and a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. So my name's Nikki Klein. I live in Boca Raton, Florida. I have been a licensed realtor for 10 years, a decade, which is insane. And I am an intuitive coach as well.
What is an intuitive coach? Tell them.
So an intuitive coach is somebody that has the gift of and skills, right? That I've worked very hard on elevating my awareness and consciousness. So I get to be able to have conversations with people and see where their stuckness is. Because we are so conditioned in this lifetime to live certain ways that until you've elevated your consciousness, it's difficult to see where that rewiring needs to happen. So I go in and I can see where the stuckness is and I can help guide you on different choices to break the patterns and rewire your brain.
Which is just crazy. So I'm certain that you hadn't been in that in, a long time because you started in real estate and you've been doing that for 10 years. Mm-hmm. So kind of walk us through your story. How did you begin in real estate? Why real estate? And what did this 10 years look like for you?
Sure. So I started in real estate because I had just moved to South Florida and I didn't really know anybody and I wanted to do something. I wasn't sure what it was that I wanted to do, but I knew that I wasn't just going to sit at home. I was married at the time. I didn't need to work, but I knew that I couldn't just drink Starbucks and play tennis. That wasn't for me. It just wasn't for me. So I decided to get my real estate license because we didn't have the greatest experience when we purchased our home. So I thought, well, if this is the level of standard for real estate here, let me give it a shot because I have a feeling I'll be able to create something magical. So I ended up getting my license. I was a top agent in my office for many years. And then I moved to a different brokerage. And the reason that I moved to a different brokerage is because I had an addiction to achievement. There were lots of awards being handed out and I recognized that if I wasn't number one, in my mind, I was first loser. And that was a problem for me. And it was all based on ego, right? Like I have to be number one. I have to be number one. So what happened is I had to really sit with myself. And I've done a lot of self-development work over the past, I would say 5 years. I've really dug into this work, which creates a whole different form of freedom that we can talk about later. And I realized that we're conditioned from birth, a lot of us, to have an addiction to achievement. So for example, when you're 8 or 9 years old and you get an A certificate and you go and show your parents and your parents are like, oh my God, good job. That's incredible. You did so well. And all of a sudden you attach the feeling of achievement to praise. So then we take that with us as adults. And then we get a job and we're like looking outside of ourselves for somebody to tell us we're doing a good job. You're doing such a good job. Well done. So that we can emulate that feeling that we got from our parents. And that's all conditioning that most of us don't realize. We do it all unconsciously. So when I switched over, I had to start all over again. I went somewhere where people didn't know who I was, where I was just an agent who was doing a great job for my clients, but there were no awards being offered. So that was a real like kick in the butt for me, because I was like, nobody's going to see me because I'm not getting my A's, right? I'm not getting my gold award. So who's going to know how great I am? So I had to really sit and realize it doesn't matter. As long as I in myself know what a great job I'm doing, I don't need the external validation. So that's kind of the work that I've been doing over the past few years. And that was kind of my shift towards a different brokerage. And, I've had a team and I didn't have a team. I had 11 people on a team last year, realized it wasn't for me. So I am now a solo agent, which I am loving.
I bet.
Yeah, because again, in our industry, we are, for the most part, conditioned that if you don't grow a team, you're not successful.
Yes.
And let me just tell you that when I grew a team, I did not feel successful.
No.
So it was, again, one of those things where I had to say to myself, am I doing this? Am I growing a team because that's what we're conditioned in this industry to do? Or am I doing it because I and my soul want to do it? Now, some people do it because it's their soul calling. Yep. It is not mine. And I had to really differentiate, like, what is mine and what is something that I'm doing for the outside. So this work really makes you internalize your feelings, your thoughts, everything.
So when you grew your team, do you think that you did it because you felt like everyone else is doing this? This is my next step to success?
Yeah, because I didn't know who I was, right? So I think a lot of us get lost. This is my perspective. My perspective is most people who go into real estate, they want to be entrepreneurs. We wake up in we are born in a hospital for most of us. And the first thing you hear is beep, beep, right? You hear that noise. You go into kindergarten and then you hear ring, 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 end of the school day. And then you go to work and you clock in and clock out. And something inside of us entrepreneurs says, you know what? There's more to life than this. Like, this is not how I want to live on this hamster wheel and this cycle. There's more. I have vision, creativity. I'm not 100% sure how to do it. And then we jump into real estate because we think we're going to get more freedom, but we end up working 80 hours instead of, right? And we're also not business owners for the most part. We're visionaries, we're creatives, but we're like thrown into this industry where unless you know how to run a business, you're going to be really like sucking your time away trying to figure out how to run a business, not being able to use your creative juices because you're so focused over here. So it was like, I was going to the classes and the trainings to learn how to build a team because I thought by having the leverage and having the team, that would solve my problem.
Yeah.
But what it did was the opposite. I was following somebody else's path of building a team and growing a business. And it wasn't my soul calling, it was somebody else's.
Oh, yeah.
And so when you follow somebody else's dreams and path and it's going to implode. If it doesn't resonate with you, you're going to be miserable. You're going to be suffering, essentially, trying to do something that somebody on stage made look successful to them, which do we really know if they feel happy, even though they're successful?
Yes.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
They make success. What does that mean? It's different to different people. So you have to really look inside and say, well, what does success mean to me?
Yeah.
What does it mean to me? And so again, we're not taught in this industry to look inside. We're taught, look outside, look what this person's doing, make these calls, do these door knocking, do all of these things because it worked for this person over here and these people over here. I'm not those people.
No.
So it's the internal work that it takes. And that's what I do with the coaches that I hire and the people that I coach with, is like, we dig into what is it that lights you up? What is it that can create abundance for you? Because once you've internalized that, it's the ripple effect throughout your life.
So when you went from solo agent to then running a team, then back to solo agent, how hard was that transition?
Going from solo agent to running a team was like pushing against a brick wall, because it wasn't my calling. And I kept trying so hard. I was trying everything. I would hire different people and then hire teammates, and I would tell the agents to like do these things that I wasn't doing because I wouldn't do it, but I expected them to do it. But it's not what I wanted to, but that's how you run a team, is you make them do all these things in a structured way. But I'm a very airy fairy, like not structured person. I always say I'm consistently inconsistent. I'm always told to be consistent. Well, I am consistently inconsistent.
Yeah.
So, it's like, I can't tell people how to do business if I'm not doing business that way.
No.
And then, there was just a lot of, I am the type of leader that will hold my hand like this at the top of a mountain, and you can grab on, but I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to pull you up. You have to climb your way up.
Okay.
And so what I found was a lot of agents were like, no, help me, pull me up, pull me
Oh
up.
yeah.
And that's not my ideal avatar of an agent or a client. So, it was, again, a lot of self-discovery. What works with me, what doesn't work for me. But going back to your question, that was the hardest transition for me, solo to team, because I was like, look, I have 11 agents on my team, yet I'm so miserable. Like, I have people, at me all the time, and I don't feel free. I feel constricted.
Yep.
So when I cut that out and became a solo agent again, it was like I unclipped my wings.
How hard was that? Because when you grow a team
Yeah.
and you have people leaning on you and they're like, this is Nikki, this is who we are, this is what we're doing. And then for you to go to them and in essence be like, this is not what I want to do.
Yep.
I'm done here. That had to have been hard.
Well, it was hard. Okay, so I think everybody knows, like, you have a knowing when your leader isn't all in or completely vested. They know, I know, and we're very open and transparent. So they kind of knew before it happened, and they were, doing their thing and I was doing my thing, and it wasn't a team in the way that your standard real estate team ran.
Yeah.
So that nobody was shocked or surprised, and we're all, very on great terms. So as long as you have open communication, there's no struggles with it. So they knew all along. I always told them, like, these are the things that you have to do to be a successful team in our industry, or what's perceived as success. But I don't want to do those things. So I'm just like, literally, I would say that.
I love that.
Yeah. I don't want to do it, but if you want to be successful, this is how we're told to do it. So, because most of them came to me to be on the team, I never recruited to be, a team. It just happened organically. So when it was time to like close that chapter, people understood. I mean, I've always been transparent. So.
And you did it, I'm imagining, because number one, it was freedom for you, but it wasn't feeding your soul. And
No.
most people go through life. I'm one of them for sure. And I want to be a people pleaser. Like, I don't want people to get upset. I don't want anyone to be mad. So I'll just endure all of this unhappiness or things that don't feed my soul to please them. So I commend you that you were able to do that.
And that's exactly the work that I want the entire world to start practicing, is rewiring of the people pleasing. What is people pleasing? It's when you were a little kid and you were told, be a good girl, or you were told, go say thank you to that person, or go give that person a hug. And in your body, you were like, I don't want to do that, or I don't, but your parents tell you need to go do that. And we end up taking that into adulthood. So this is the rewiring that we need to do so that we are living in our soul's truest, highest being instead of what we've been conditioned to live like. It's
So
a
did you
whole
find that
rewiring.
you were getting up like every day dreading what you were doing and dreading your role in
Yeah,
life?
who wants to
Basically.
live like that?
Yes.
Who wants to live like that? But and it's all conditioning. And then once you live in freedom, you are, whether you believe in God, the universe, I mean, faith to me is a huge piece of the puzzle. You have to really recognize whether it's God, the universe, Mother Nature, whatever you believe in, that your back is held, that nothing is ever going to be the demise of anything. I mean, I live as though I'm living in a video game. Like, I literally believe that life is a game and you get to choose. We all get choices on how we play this game. We're only here for a limited amount of time.
Yes.
I do not want to be doing something that doesn't bring me joy every single day.
No. And you don't get a do-over.
No.
It's like, we got one shot here. So when you did what you did and you discovered like freedom, any regrets?
No. How can you have regrets?
No.
How can you have regret? Like, I am living in my highest. I can do what I want, when I want, with who I want. And I don't have to ask any questions except to myself. Is this really what I want to do? Or is it what I'm doing for something?
Yep.
So I'm always very cautious about the decisions that I make and the choices, but we all get choices. And so your choices are going to be based on where your awareness is in life.
Oh, yeah. And, a lot of people, I think, have this misconception that, well, running a team or having a team is your secret to success. You're going to have all kinds of profit rolling in, money rolling in. You're going to have to work less hours. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's a total you have to just love teaching if you want to be a team leader. If you don't love teaching and being there for answering questions and helping agents, like, I love to help people. I love to be in service, but I'm not a great real estate team leader because I am very independent. And when I ran my team, to answer your question, I lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. It is very expensive to run a team.
Yes.
And it's very difficult to explain it to the team members because they're not in the position of running the team. And so they just see what's coming out of their pocket, but they don't see the bigger picture of what's coming out of yours, which if you're a team leader, I highly recommend that you are super transparent with what you're paying for. I mean, I was paying $5,000 a month for an office that nobody used.
Yep.
Nobody used it.
Oh, yeah.
But nobody thinks about that when they're looking at splits, right?
Yeah.
They're just thinking, well, why do I have to pay you? Like, you should give me all this. So this is what I've recognized about people since running a team. You have people who are takers, like, I'm just going to take this.
Yep.
And you have people who are receivers. And you have people who receive and they just are so grateful, and that comes back. Those are the people that you want to keep on your team. It's the takers that you have to red flag. I'm just going to keep taking. The minute I feel that energy, and we all feel the energy, it's just a lot of us haven't sat long enough with ourselves to recognize what the feelings are.
Yeah.
Because we use our mind too much. We're too much in our head instead of in our heart. But our heart is really our true guidance system.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
You're right.
Yeah.
And I think, like, for me, I have this regimented routine but I'll find myself, and when I get spread too thin, the first thing I let go of is my personal development, my things that I need to make my soul happy.
Which is the most important thing. And that is, no, I will never personal development to me is the most important thing. If I don't have that, then I'm not helpful for anybody else.
No.
If I don't sit with myself, if I don't go walk if I don't go to sun, our body wants to move, but our brain tells our body that we shouldn't be moving. Yeah. So you get that 1 second of like, oh, I should go to the gym. And then we call it the ego, but the ego part of your brain says, no, don't do it tomorrow. Just let it go. The game that I'm talking about, the game of life, is that's your highest. When your highest says, let's go to the gym, that's a less than a second instinct. And you can override that with the ego instantly. The ego doesn't want you living in your highest. It wants you to stay safe. So if you can follow that instinct and take the covers off and just stand up, the minute that voice comes in your head of like, oh, let's go to the gym, you'll bypass the ego and then you go work out, you go move your body. But the more we move our body, the more the energy flows. We are just energy. We're energetic beings. So we have got to move our body. Otherwise, we stay in our head. And when we stay in our head, that's the conditioning. So in order to have the energy flow through your system, it's so important that you move your body. Doesn't matter what you do. You could go for a 10-minute walk. Just do it. And that will turn into a half-an-hour walk, which may turn into a run, which may turn, but you got to get started. And only you can do that,
So you've went from solo agent, team leader, back to solo agent. Kind of walk us through like what is a typical day like for you, because you are very successful and you're super happy.
I know, but my day is so unconventional for a real estate agent. Like it's not, I just do what I want when I want. Like this morning I got up and I went to the gym at 6. And I was really deciding, do I want to go to the gym at 6 or do I want to go to the beach for sunrise? Like what? Like that's my biggest dilemma in the morning. Like
wow. Which that's a hard problem.
It's a hard problem to have. Yeah. So I went to the gym, and then my days are not. I know we're taught as a conditioned like collective that you need to have structure. You need to have this. You need to have that. Mm-hmm. And I told you I'm consistently inconsistent. So I will have like things on my schedule. Like I knew that we were doing this podcast.
Yes.
So I had that scheduled. And I have my coaching calls scheduled. But the rest of the time, I just do whatever resonates. Like, what do I want to do? If I have, I took clients out yesterday and I have 2 contracts that I need to do. So I'll figure out when to do that. But I also think having like the ADHD brain is my superpower, so I can switch gears pretty quickly. Right. So, so my days are not super structured. I do sometimes I'll just go to the thrift store because that's my form of like walking meditation. I love thrifting. And so I go in there just to stay present.
That is so crazy because you're right. Like, and in the real estate world, like we are taught, like you do these things during these hours, and then next you do these things during these hours. It's a very regimented schedule.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, thanks. You're not going to clip my wings.
Very few people can do what you do.
I don't know. That's a belief, right? That's not necessarily true. I mean, anyone can do it.
But I think most people get left on their own in the real estate world, and then they become unsuccessful.
Well, that's your perspective. My perspective is people can do whatever they want to do whenever they want to do it.
Yeah.
Like there's no most people because we don't know, right? You know the people that you know, but you don't know most. I mean, there's a billion agents worldwide, like literally a billion agents. But we can all do it. It's just we're afraid. It's just fear.
Yes.
Let fear run. Like if I don't have a schedule, then my business is going to die. Is your business going to die? Because what happens if you decided to do your 3-hour structured calls every day and I decided to go to the coffee shop, and I met a guy at the coffee shop who wants to sell a $4 million house. If I had stayed doing these calls, then I wouldn't, what happens is we stay so tunnel visioned, we don't see all of the opportunities that are outside of us. So, you could say that I'm prospecting all the time, but I wouldn't consider, like, that's just a term that we use. I'm just building relationships wherever I go.
And I think that's like the key to real estate, because everyone says it, like, especially as we evolve and the industry continues to get weirder and more things happen, like, it's relationship building. And just like you said, if you were in your office or in your house making your calls, like, you're head down, this is what you're doing. Outside world doesn't exist.
Right. And 87% of agents fail in real estate in the first year or two.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So imagine if they had had a different way of thinking about how to do real estate. Because imagine how many of those people fail because they did try those systems and it didn't work for them because
Oh
it
yeah.
was too constricting.
Did you ever do the normal routine, the normal scheduled, like we're supposed to be doing?
Couldn't do it. I tried it, couldn't do it. It was not, it doesn't resonate with me. So I built my business off of Facebook groups. I have a community Facebook group. I have a big network.
Okay.
I love to build community. So I have a community Facebook group with 33,000 people in it.
Okay.
So we just started doing sponsorships in that community so that I can have another form of passive income.
How did you get it to 33,000?
I didn't, they did.
Okay.
Because I added so much value in the group, and I am very consistent every day with checking the posts. See, I'm consistent, but I don't have a specific time I do it. I just will check once in a while. But I make sure that we have standards and expectations of how people behave within the group and what posts we allow in. And it's just become this source of community news and information that I get people from other states calling me, hey, can you let me in the group? Can you let me in the group? Because my friend's in there and she told me I have to be in there. So it's building those conversations. That's really where I get a lot of my real estate business from.
How long have you had that group?
Probably since I started in real estate, because I didn't want to do the structured thing. I was like, there has to be another way to build business. Like, I'm not getting on the phone and cold calling people, and I'm not. It doesn't resonate with me to just get on the phone anyway, no matter what. So I built my business in a way where I can hide behind the keyboard and still have a presence.
So when you got this idea to build this group, like, what was the group centered on?
Community. So I had actually moved from Connecticut, and I built a Facebook group in Connecticut, and we had 500 people that had joined my little community group. And I realized how powerful community groups were when I needed to have speed bumps put outside my house because I had little kids. And because I made a post in the Facebook group, I had speed bumps put outside my house within 2 weeks. And I was like, wow, there is something to the power of community and Facebook groups.
Yep.
So that became I have 82 groups now.
Oh,
yeah.
That's great. And so are they all your own?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I created a Facebook group. I see where there's a missing link and then I fill it. Okay. So I created a Facebook group in my area. At the time, I know a lot of you are going to be like, there's already 20 Facebook groups. I didn't care because I knew that the value that I would give was different from everybody else's. I knew what my vision was for the group. And so I just created the group that I wanted, that resonated with me. What would I want to see? And then from that group, there was so many people asking for babysitters in the area that I created a babysitter group for my area. And we have 22,000 people in that group.
Oh my gosh, that's insane.
Yeah, so you just have to find the missing gap that people are looking for. I love to do that. And I think part of it is because I don't ever want somebody to feel lonely or not. I don't want them to feel like they don't have an answer to their question.
Yeah.
So I just kept building these groups for things that I saw were missing on Facebook. And then it just grew into this beautiful container.
Are you active in all the groups every day?
No, not at all.
Okay.
No, they run themselves at this point, right?
Okay.
So when people ask questions, the community will respond.
So did you appoint like moderators and admins?
Mhm. Yep, I have some moderators in the group who are part of our community that help me manage that.
Okay. And you get business from your real estate groups?
That's pretty much where I get my business from, yeah.
Which
And
is
referrals.
crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you who have built this business, you built it on basically Facebook groups and not using the phones because you didn't want to do any cold calling.
I don't think I've ever picked up the phone to make a cold call ever in my career.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. What about buying online leads?
Never.
And see, a lot of people build, like I've built our business on online lead gen. It's been
Which
like
is great.
the staple of everything I did. Everybody has a different
Everyone
way.
has a different niche. And that's why it's so important to find yours and not follow somebody else's. Right. So like somebody might be listening to this going, oh my God, that's so easy. That's like, I don't really want to do that. I don't really want to spend the time doing Facebook, but she's had so much success with it. I'm going to build my own Facebook group. And then it dies because they actually didn't have the soul behind it.
Yeah. Or the commitment, like you said, like
Yeah.
you do it consistently.
You have to really want to come from service. That's the thing. Like I didn't do it for real estate. I did it so that I could create a community, and then it grew from there. It was never self-serving. And I think that when you go into something where it's self-serving, people can feel that.
Oh yeah.
Like we are all energetic. Everything is energy, right?
Yeah.
So in my model of the world. So, if you're going into something saying, what can I get? What's in it for me? It's not going to be successful because everyone feels that. It's like, even when you make a post on social media, if you're doing what's in it for me, everyone can feel that. Just like you can feel it when you see somebody else making a post.
Oh
yeah. So I think it's so important to do something where you feel that you're coming, like if you're cold calling or doing online leads, are you doing it with the energy of, these people need my help. Like these people need my help. And that is the energy that I'm going to put behind that phone call. Instead of, if they don't buy a house from me, I can't pay my bills next month.
That's fear.
You feel the frequency.
Oh, yeah.
It's a different frequency. So it's getting into the frequency of abundance, gratitude, and giving, because that's the law of attraction, the law of giving.
Oh yeah.
It's like when you truly give from your soul, it just, the abundance flows.
It does. So when you've looked at your life and like going through these last 10 years, like I'm a big planner and a visionary, and I know you are too. What does the next like 10 years look like for you? Have you thought about that? What do you want it to be?
I'm going to be doing more keynotes. I'm going to be doing more coaching, sharing awareness on my experiences so that I can perhaps plant seeds in people who may be curious about what it is to live in conscious awareness.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't even know that it exists, but they're curious that there's more to life, but what does that look like?
Yep.
That was where I was. So for me, it's, if you haven't done the work in here, nothing else matters, because it's all noise, everything, the business, all of it is just background noise until you've done the internal work. And then it will ripple into your business, into your life, into every area of your life will be impacted by the internal work that you do.
And then you can kind of plan out like, what is it? How does your perfect day look? Like your perfect week, your perfect month, your perfect year?
Or not. See,
Or not.
I live more present. So when you live in the future, it creates anxiety. When you live in the past, it creates depression. So the more present you can stay and just allow things to happen instead of planning. Because again, when you plan so far ahead, you're missing all the opportunities outside of that plan. So I just see what's going to happen today.
Which is like unheard of. Most people cannot do that.
But
I love that.
Conditioning.
Yeah.
Like we're conditioned to find a goal and get to the goal.
Yeah.
Well, meet that goal. You have to reach that goal. But what if that goal is put there so that you can become a more evolved human in the steps going towards that goal? And the goal actually doesn't matter. It's just like your North Star. But who are you on your way to get there? And what things happen and shift? That's how you stay present.
Do you think that you've constantly been evolving through this whole time and turning into morphing into the best version of you?
Every day, that's my goal.
Yeah.
Be a better version of myself today than I was yesterday, and tomorrow than I am today. Evolution.
So will you continue to do real estate as well?
Yeah, sure. Because I know I'm helping people. I'm helping people. We get paid really beautifully when we do a good job.
Oh yeah.
And I still love it. I love the real estate side of things. I just am not obsessed with selling 100 homes a year.
Yep.
I don't care. Like I might sell 100. I might sell 25. We'll see what happens. I don't put the pressure on myself to have an expectation of what I should be doing. We need to get rid of the word should out of our vocabulary and just live more in flow. For me, that's what works for me. It's not for everybody. This lifestyle is not for everybody. Some people may have a complete meltdown not knowing what their schedule is. And I can appreciate that. But for me, living in the flow is what brings me the most joy, because you never know what's going to happen. It's expect the unexpected. What's around the corner that I wouldn't have seen if I was so focused on getting to my destination.
Yeah.
It's like we tune out life. It's like when you drive a long distance in the car and you aren't even focused on, where you're going in your mind, that you just go into a hypnotic state. That's how people live their life, instead of like, oh, look at that mountain, look at that tree, did you see the little squirrel running on, like we miss all of that because we're so hyper focused on an end result. And for me, I want to stay as present as I can to enjoy the beauty of what we have in front of us.
Which I think is super cool. And that's probably why you do these solo trips that you go on. They're for you.
When I was in Arizona and I was speaking at a conference in Phoenix, and I said, I'm going to go to Sedona by myself for a few days before the conference so that I can just be with nature, travel. I love to travel with myself because I'm fun. I've really learned to love myself, really love being my own company. And how many people can sit on a couch for 10 minutes with no phone, no TV, and just be with themselves? They would freak out. Not many people can do that.
No.
Once you've done the internal work, it's like you just love yourself. You just love being with yourself. You can't imagine living in that way, the previous way again, because you untangled yourself. But I went to this conference and I was keynote speaking at an event in Phoenix, and I got to the event and I said, and who loves to solo travel? And there were 100 people and not one person raised their hand. And I was like, you guys, we have work to do. Solo travel is best once you can be with yourself.
So are you one of those that can go sit in a restaurant and eat by yourself then? Easily?
Oh, I do it every day.
See, a lot of people are I'm the opposite. It's like, I have no desire to go sit in the restaurant and eat by myself. I'll just go through the drive-thru.
Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah. Different strokes for different folks.
It's crazy, isn't it? But you find fulfillment from that.
Yeah. I mean, I can do it's not necessarily fulfillment. It's just I'm at peace with it. So I can do it either by myself or with people. I can't really do small talk. So small talk doesn't cut it for me. I like to have deep conversations
Yeah.
about personal development and evolution and all the things that we're talking about today. So I struggle being in groups of people that, how was your day? What did you do? Like that's not how I live my life. So
Yeah.
I have to be very into the people in the conversation to
Yeah.
go with a big group, you know, thing. But that's what you kind of are. You find your people when
Oh
you do
yeah.
this work. You find your people.
So when you launched your coaching thing, was that because you felt this need that there's people out there that you've got to help because
Oh,
more people
for
need to be aware
sure.
of this? Yeah.
For sure. I
Yeah.
mean, and what's meant for you is for you, right? So the people who are attracted to my coaching, they come, they find me, however they find me.
Yep.
And yeah, I'm going to start doing courses because I want to be able to do one to many instead of just one to one,
Yeah.
just to get the word out there for the people who it resonates with,
Yep.
to be able to understand what truly healing and rewiring and doing this type of internal work does for your business, your family, your relationships, everything, for you just as a human to
Yeah.
live here in peace. Can you imagine? Like, I feel so much peace most of the time. Most of the time. It's not all the time. I'm still human. So I still have to but I look at things very differently when situations happen. I look at it more as like, oh, that's interesting, instead of creating a story about why something happened.
Yeah.
I don't create stories of like, oh, this and they maybe did this and perhaps, this person, they don't like me. And so it's because I did this, or they think that I'm this person. And now I sit and go, oh, that person doesn't like me. I wonder what's going on in their life. Like, I wonder, like, that's really interesting. Like, I'll let them sit with whatever thoughts are going on in their mind, because it's nothing to do with me. It's none of my
No.
business. And I think a lot of people take on other people's stuff instead of, it's nothing to do with me.
I
Their
like that.
perception of the world is based on how they were raised, how they were like, all so many things go into their perception of the world.
Yeah.
But that's not my reality. Like, Trisha's the main character of her story. I'm the main character of my story. Everyone else plays a B-roll.
Yep.
So the question becomes, like, how can we stay in our main character and enjoy life without being sucked into other people's drama or other people's
Oh,
negativity,
yeah.
or, all those things. So it's interesting. It's fascinating stuff when you get into it.
I would imagine that your plate's like full because you can only handle so many people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
So
I get
yeah.
to pick and choose too. I don't take everybody on. If
Okay.
I can feel there's like a heaviness, if I feel that there's not an openness to this, or if I feel like there's a victim mentality, it's not going to be a good fit. The people who are in my world are very open and very quick to shift perspective and beliefs and understand that, oh, I didn't look at it that way. That's really interesting. That's really interesting for me to look at it that way, even though it feels very uncomfortable. So is it a good fit for each of us? Not
Yeah.
like, I want to coach with you. There has to be a process.
Well, and you have a different concept than most people do, and it's like not centered around real estate. It's centered around like your soul. Like,
Because it ripples to real estate.
yeah.
Like, it ripples. I have a client that started with me in January, and she was paycheck to paycheck. She said, I literally cannot afford you. And I said, well, I'm always going to be here. And she's like, but I want to pay you so that we can go on this journey. Because for me, money is an energetic exchange. It's not money. Like, once you get into an abundant mindset, you recognize that money is just energy and it's all an energetic exchange.
Oh yeah.
So the value that you get from being coached by me, it far outweighs the monthly cost, right? So she went from paycheck to paycheck. She had closed 24 homes in 2023 to today she has 16 or 17 under contract, and she's closed 35 already since.
Love that.
So, and I didn't do it. It wasn't me. She did it. But the way that she did it was by listening to what I was saying and embodying it.
Yeah.
And like recognize, like we didn't talk tactics, same as like, you know, I do things unconventionally. We didn't talk tactics. We didn't talk real estate. We talked, okay, what's going on today? And she'll tell me her feelings, like, oh, I felt this when this person, as an example, she told me about a scenario, you know, in a grocery store where somebody was not being kind, and I turned around and said, well, is it possible that that person had a really shitty day and was taking it out on you, but it has nothing to do with you? And she was like, oh, I didn't look at it like. So when you start looking at life with a different perspective and you don't embody or take on other people's stuff, it's almost like you put a wall up. You have these boundaries and nobody can infiltrate it, because that's the one thing nobody can ever take away from you, is how you react and respond to situations. So we just rewire her to be able to do that, and then it flows and ripples into every area of her life.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's a huge testimonial right there. I love that.
Yeah.
Nikki, how can people find you to learn more about you or intuitive coaching?
Yeah. So you can DM me on Facebook. I'm mostly on Facebook because I have all these Facebook groups.
Yes.
Also on Instagram, so you can find me there, or send me an email, nikki@thebrilliantteam.com, which is my real estate team. And that's pretty much it.
You guys, y'all need to, number one, follow her. She has 1 million Facebook groups. You see, she's living like a totally different way of life than if you're in the real estate world. Like, you know, like you're regimented to do this all day long, but she's living very successfully and kind of on her own terms and fulfilling her soul, which I think is super cool. So y'all got to make sure and reach out to Nikki and check out her coaching for sure. Nikki, you're amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for doing this with me today.
It was a pleasure.
Bye, you guys.